Here is the answer for the Day 1 Bell work. Draw structural formulas for each molecular compound. Question A, diatomic chlorine. 2 chlorine atoms bonded together. When you draw the structural formula, you'll use dashes to represent covalent bonds and dots to represent unshared electron pairs. Well, first of all, how many valence electrons are there in this molecule? Chlorine is in group 7A, so each chlorine has 7 valence electrons. There are 2 chlorines. 7 times 2 is 14 electrons. When we draw our picture, the combination of the dashed lines that we draw and the dots have to add up to 14 electrons. Write Cl and then nearby another Cl. Then connect them with the dashed line. This represents a single covalent bond. It is 2 electrons. Remember how we said we need to have 14 electrons? One dashed line is 2 of them. Now let's put in unshared electrons, working around the outside of the symbols and doing them in pairs. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and remember how that dashed line counted as 2 of them. There's 14 electrons. And each chlorine now satisfies the octet rule. The chlorine on the left side is surrounded by 8 electrons. Remember that the dash counts as 2. The chlorine on the right side is also surrounded by 8 electrons. Question B, H2O. First step, figure out how many valence electrons should be in our formula. Hydrogen is in group 1, and there are 2 hydrogens, so that's 2 electrons. Oxygen is in group 6, so that's 6 electrons. We need 8 electrons in our picture. Oxygen will be the central atom, and then there'll be a hydrogen on one side and the other hydrogen on the other. Now connect them with single covalent bonds, remembering that each line you draw is 2 electron dots. Just by drawing those 2 lines, we've used up 4 of our 8 electrons. There are 4 remaining. Put 2 dots on top of the O and 2 dots under the O. That completes the octet around oxygen. Around that oxygen, there are 8 electrons. A hydrogen atom is an exception to the octet rule. Hydrogen is stable when it has 2 electrons next to it, because that makes it like the noble gas helium. And that dashed line is 2 electrons. Question C. This molecule is called ammonia. How many electrons do we need? Nitrogen's in group 5, so 5 electrons. Hydrogen's in group 1, and there are 3 hydrogens, so that's 3 more electrons. We're going to need 8 electrons in our picture. The central atom will be the nitrogen, and it will be surrounded by 3 hydrogens. Now connect the hydrogens to the nitrogen with single covalent bonds. How many dots have we already used when we made those dashes? We've used 6 dots. There's 2 left. Where should they go? They need to go under the nitrogen as an unshared electron pair. Now each hydrogen has 2 electrons next to it, and the nitrogen is surrounded by 8 electrons. 2, 4, 6, 8.